be a break on the vehicle license, same thing I do with everybody. However, I'm going to issue a notice of infraction for failing to provide proof of insurance, and your privilege to drive is suspended. So.
Oh, well, did I say I was driving?
What's that?
Did I say I was driving?
I saw you driving, sir.
No, did I say I was driving? You saw me driving. That's a legal term, right?
You can't give me the right to be a human being. I'm born with that right. Now, you can keep me from having that if you've got all the policemen and all the jobs on your side.
Hey everybody, thanks for joining me. In this video, I'm bringing you an update from the video I did a week or so ago, the one you can see on your screen right now. Link to it is in the description, the original video, but this is an update to that. This is when the man you can see on your screen there, this is Trooper Jeffrey Otis, pulled me over for having expired tabs and then ended up citing me for driving without having privileges to do so, or operating a vehicle. It's actually driving in the state of Washington, I think. Anyhow, that's kind of irrelevant at this point. Let me get into the update. So I received this letter here from the county prosecutor because, as I mentioned in the other video, he didn't actually cite me with that. He just, it was a draft and he referred it to the prosecutor. And so the prosecutor, I'm just going to read what the prosecutor says in this letter real quick. Says, regarding citation number 2A0293218, recently you were issued a criminal citation for driving while license suspended in the 3rd degree. This citation will not result in criminal charges. However, you will still have to deal with any non-criminal traffic infractions issued at the same time. Please follow the instructions on the back of the infractions. Your options include paying the fine or requesting mitigation or a contested hearing. In the future, you can avoid being cited for driving while license suspended 3 by obtaining a valid Washington state driver's license. Please visit, then it lists the website address for more information. Basically, in the end there, what they're trying to say is if you don't want our enforcement officers to be harassing you when you haven't done anything wrong, you should get your license reinstated. All right, so as you can see there, they're really trying to get me back into the system and get me to have one of their licenses and asking permission to use my automobile on an open and public roadway. And we're not going to do that. But I just wanted to show you guys the proof that I was not cited for that. I'm just going to bring up real quick. There was a couple people made some comments on at least the YouTube video, basically saying I'm a problem and a couple other things. So I just want to review those real quick because it's kind of important, at least I think. So the first one here is from Maro Sai, and I guess it was 13 days ago or 2 weeks ago that I did that video. And he says, I believe in our constitutional rights, but you are in the wrong for driving without a license. That's your bad, so take accountability. There are some bad seed cops that make the entire police department look bad, but the majority of them are just everyday people that are trying to do their jobs. People like you make it hard for us law-abiding citizens because you help grow the division between the public and the police. This us versus them mentality. You seem to like to give the police grief when it suits you, but I bet they are the first people you call to protect you when you're in danger. You're causing damage in the bigger picture for all of us by your actions. So, first of all, no, I wouldn't call the cops if I'm in danger. I would protect myself if I'm in danger. If I called the cops when I'm in danger, I would have to just sit there and wait for them to show up while whatever the dangerous situation is happens and I get injured or something gets stolen from me or I get killed or whatever the dangerous situation is. They're going to show up after the fact. They're not going to actually stop it. So why would I ever call them? That's silly. As to the rest of your comment there, I don't know how I'm the problem. I did nothing wrong. I didn't hurt anyone. I did as our Constitution allows, both state and federal. And the proof is in the pudding there with the letter I received that was just on the screen that I read to you. They're not pressing criminal charges for that. Now, you can come up with your confirmation bias in your head. You can justify it however you want and still say that I'm the problem. But it seems to me it was Trooper Jeffrey Otis who was the problem. He's the one that used a threat of violence with his cherries and berries to get me to pull to the side of the road. And even though he said, oh, I'd assess the situation, he didn't necessarily said he would use violence to get me to stop. He was agitated, and part of it I didn't get on camera. So I didn't necessarily trust that. So for you to say that I'm the problem, I did nothing wrong. He's the one. Clearly, I didn't even get a ticket for that. So why was I even stopped? So moving on to the next one. Black Prince here, we went back and forth a little bit in some comments, and so he says, you might actually want to read the revised code of Washington. So that's the other thing. The other guy mentioned law. It's not even a law, it's a code. It says right here, code. It doesn't say a revised law of Washington, it says revised code. So before claiming you don't require a license to physically control an automobile on public roads, first of all, that's not what the RCW says. It doesn't say anything about physically controlling an automobile. It says, as he says next, you're physically in control of a motor vehicle. Those are two different terms. Now he makes an assumption here that is incorrect. He says my automobile is a motor vehicle. Now, if I use it in commerce, yes, it does become a motor vehicle, but we won't get into that because we don't need to. Says your automobile is a motor vehicle as the term is defined in the RCW, and you are required to possess a driver's license if you are physically controlling one of the public roads of Washington. So basically what he's saying here, when he says your automobile is a motor vehicle as that term is defined in the RCW, you have to understand legalese. And so what he in legalese, basically what he's trying to, a simile, I guess, of what he's saying here would be, your orange is an apple as that term is defined in an RCW. That's basically he's taking two completely different things and saying, well, based on what these words on paper that man put together and put on paper say, your apple over here that's different from this orange is the same as the orange. An automobile is not the same as a motor vehicle. They're two different things. Then he says, neither the U.S. Constitution nor the state constitution prevents the state legislature from enacting laws regulating the use of the state's roads for public safety and order. He's right. Nothing does prevent them from doing that. He's correct. The U.S. Supreme Court ruled that a state has the legislative authority to enact laws applicable to all users of states' roads, such as vehicle registration requirement and a driver's license requirement. Does it really say users? He doesn't cite anything for me to actually go back to. He does cite a Supreme Court case here, but that's just some person in a black robe that everybody else looks at as a god. It's just their opinion on a law, so it means nothing. And furthermore, if the Supreme Court ruled that the state has legislative authority to enact laws, well, doesn't both the Washington state constitution and the federal constitution say that the legislature derives their powers from the consent of the governed? I don't consent. And no, this guy tries to make an argument in another part of this comments here that my consent isn't required. As long as like 8 of the 10 people in the room consent, then I just have to be okay with it. So by his reasoning, if I guess whatever the percentage he deems is okay, maybe 60% of the people in the United States, say people with men with hair below their shoulders and a beard, don't deserve to live anymore and should be killed, then I guess I don't have a choice in that. I need to be killed because the majority of the people consented to that, right? That's his logic. So anyhow, I don't want to get this video too long. I just wanted to show you guys my letter. Let me put that back on the screen now. Like I said, it just says I don't, it's telling me I need to take care of the one for not showing them insurance. But I don't know, like I said, it's just a civil thing, and all they're going to do is probably just send me to collections. And honestly, I don't care. I don't use their credit anymore anyways. So I'm fine with that. It doesn't bother me. I'll just let it be. But I just wanted to let you guys know that I did not receive any criminal charges for that when I got pulled over there. So that was completely pointless of them to do that. So maybe they'll get the point here pretty soon and just stop doing that altogether. But what would really be great is if it wasn't just me doing this, is if more and more and more of us started doing this, because obviously they're not going to do anything about it. And then if they start doing something about it or trying to, you'll have a bunch of us that'll be there to support you and back you up in your community. So let's start taking back our freedom. We've allowed them to take it from us. We've consented in giving up our freedom. Even I did, and I stopped doing that, at least in this portion of my life, and I'm starting to do it in other portions as well. And I ask you to join me. Voluntarism. Live free.